was like, oh my God, what is going on?
A fire on Cannery Row shuts down businesses, the latest on that investigation. And spreading the word how one local college is focusing on minorities to help bump college enrollment.
It went up 8 cents in 2 days.
And our top story, prices at the pump on the rise again, how much you'll pay and how it could affect you this holiday weekend.
You're watching KSBW Channel 8, Salinas, Monterey, Santa Cruz. This is Action News 8. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening, I'm Brittany Nielsen. We do begin tonight with gas prices. They're on the rise again. You've seen them jump to around $4 a gallon recently. The national average is $3.71. In California, drivers are paying $4.15 for regular. In Salinas, that number is slightly lower, falling to $4.04. In Santa Cruz, hasn't quite reached $4 yet, but it's close at $3.97. Action News reporter Margot Dunphy is live in Salinas with the latest on this and how it's affecting travel. Margot?
Brittany, well, lots of visitors here on the Central Coast for this President's Day weekend. But for many who stopped to fill up with gas today, the price came as a bit of a shock.
Yeah. 2 days ago, it was $3.88. And it went up 8 cents in 2 days.
A busy holiday weekend on the Central Coast, and with the crowds of tourists come rising gas prices.
That's higher than we pay in Alaska.
How much do you pay in Alaska?
I filled up the day before yesterday at $3.69.
Travelers from Alaska and even Sacramento were a little unprepared for the added expense to their trip.
Well, I think we're getting gouged by the oil companies. That's what I think. But what can you do about it?
Even local Vince Rhodes on his motorcycle was a bit concerned at his total price at the pump.
It's a very fast motorcycle, so it sucks it up pretty good.
To give you an idea of how much some drivers are paying, we just saw a Hummer come through here and fill up for more than $83.
I mean, we were looking good at $3.70, $3.71 for premium, and now diesel's up to, I think I paid $4.39 this morning. So that bites.
But despite prices over $4 a gallon, most people we spoke with say it won't affect their travel plans this President's Day weekend.
I like Monterey, so got to sacrifice somewhere or the other.
And AAA says that the upcoming conversion to a spring-summer blend of gas plus some statewide refinery issues are to blame for California's rising gas prices. Reporting in Salinas, Margot Dunphy, KSBW Action News 8.
On the School Watch, it's day 2 of Cal State University System's initiative to reach out to African American communities about the value of a college education. CSUMB is taking that message to local churches. The university's interim president, Edward Ochoa, spoke at the Greater Victory Temple in Seaside today.
Education has become a key determinant of income as well as health and all sorts of other positive social indicators. So the historically underserved communities, the African American community, Latino community, certain portions of the Asian community, it's our mission to provide access and success in higher education.
CSUMB advisors were on hand after the service with information on admissions and financial aid for potential students and their families. On the Crime Watch, a burglary arrest in Santa Cruz. Police say burglars forced open the back doors of Santa Cruz Glass and Caber Pass restaurant on Valentine's Day, taking cash and other items, but a digital camera was left behind. Pictures on the camera led them to Richard Stipe. Police say when they approached Stipe, he admitted to both burglaries. These two men, Eduardo Manriquez and Juan Perez, are behind bars after they and 2 teens ran from Salinas police and led them to a stash of stolen items and weapons. Police got a search warrant for the Acosta Plaza home they were hiding in. Violent suppression officers found nearly a dozen high-powered guns, at least 3 taken from burglaries in homes in Salinas and Santa Maria. Items from 3 separate burglaries in all were located, including a TV, PlayStation, checkbook, and silver coin. Proof of gang memberships were also found in the home. after being shot in the head and robbed nearly a week ago. A UCSC Santa Cruz student is speaking out. She released a statement to Santa Cruz police. She says, "I'd like to thank the woman who stopped her truck to help a stranger without a moment's hesitation. Though I was unable to get her name, I am forever grateful for the kindness she showed." She also says, "I have never been more happy to be alive." The victim's laptop and wallet were taken in the robbery. She is recovering with her family in their San Francisco home. Crews are still cleaning up a fire that erupted in a downstairs storage room next to the Wax Museum in Monterey. The investigation into what caused that fire is ongoing tonight. Action News reporter Jacqueline Mazer has an update from Monterey.
I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
And what could have been a disaster for Cannery Row turned into more of a hassle for small businesses.
We lost quite a bit of business during the time we were shut down.
A small fire broke out Saturday morning in a storage room next to the Spirit of Monterey Wax Museum, shutting down some businesses for the remainder of the day.
The Cannery Row Company had the fire trucks and the hazmat people and, a big crew here getting things cleaned up.
The sprinkler system put out the fire, but subsequently damaged the electrical wiring that initially caught fire, causing water damage and resulting in a power outage that cost the owner of Lily Mae's Cinnamon Rolls thousands of dollars in spoiled food and lost revenue.
It's a lot for a small business like me. I'm a one-woman show with a handful of people, so if once I dump everything, I have no way to get more product here immediately.
Crews are still investigating what caused Saturday's fire, and while business is back to normal for most, it could be days, weeks even, before the Spirit of Monterey is back up and running. In Monterey, Jacqueline Mazer, KSBW, Action News 8.
Well, most businesses reopened around 3 on Saturday, but Lily Mae's Cinnamon Rolls and Sky McFly's were closed all day. No word yet on when the Wax Museum will reopen. In news out of Washington, President Obama's chief of staff confirmed today that the White House has been working on its own immigration reform plan. Action News reporter Brian Moore has this story from Washington and looks at why Republicans are pushing back.
Brittany, this is not the first time Congress has tried to tackle immigration, but this time around, both sides seem hopeful. Immigration reform is one of the very few issues that unites both Republicans and Democrats. And while 8 senators are finishing up a bipartisan bill, USA Today reveals the White House has been working on a backup plan if the current efforts fall apart.
If those do not work out, then we'll have an option that we'll be ready to put out there.
President Obama's chief of staff says the White House proposal would bolster border security and include a path to citizenship for this nation's 11 million undocumented immigrants. Republicans say any plan with the president's name on it is bound to fail.
Of course it will. And that's why we are working together, Republicans and Democrats. By the way, he's had no communications with Republicans on the issue, unlike the previous 4 presidents that I've dealt with.
Senator John McCain is one of the so-called Gang of 8 lawmakers working on the bipartisan bill. So is Florida Republican Marco Rubio, who says the president's plan won't work. Other members of the GOP are not happy to see the White House weighing in.
When they come out and adamantly say my way or the highway, and if Congress doesn't ask, I'll put it on the desk and say pass it now, that's no way to get it done.
But the White House says it is ready to press ahead with immigration reform if Congress can't or won't act. The Gang of 8 expects to unveil its bill next month, but it may not be brought up for a vote until this summer. In Washington, I'm Brian Moore, KSBW Action News 8.
Thousands of people made their way to the mall in Washington today for a climate change rally. Activists came from dozens of states to take part. Speakers called for carbon taxes and more government spending on green energy alternatives. They marched from the mall to the White House, demanding that President Obama reject the Keystone XL pipeline. That pipeline would bring oil from Canada to U.S. refineries. And people in Washington weren't the only protesters looking for change. U.S. citizens across the country and state participated in rallies of their own today. This is Watsonville, where dozens of protesters assembled at the plaza from 2 to 3:30 this afternoon to show their support in urging the president to combat climate change.
I think the small actions make a difference, like turning down the heat or walking or taking the bus instead of driving. But I also think that we really need policy changes. We need our governments in the United States and around the world to unite behind supporting clean energy.
Protesters focused on the proposed pipeline and reducing reliance on fossil fuels. In downtown Monterey, local Native Americans and their supporters gathered, protesting some recently adopted Canadian laws, which they see as infringing on the territorial rights of Native Canadian people. Today's demonstration is part of the Idle No More movement. Similar protests are being held around the country. Still to come on Action News 8, winter weather hits the East Coast again. How bad it could get after last weekend's blizzard. And a four-season smash and grab, the company targeted, and why people think a 2008 money laundering arrest could hold their next clue. When coverage you can count on continues.